My name is Cassie Lidisky. I was a volunteer through a broader view at La Ceiba in Honduras, and I was here from March 3rd, 2017 to March 10th, and I volunteered at 2 hospitals in La Ceiba. Upon arriving here, the local A Broader View coordinator and the support he provided in country was he was amazing. He picked us up from the airport immediately, and we actually didn't realize he was our host family at first. We just thought he was going to give us a ride to the host family, but turns out our host family basically came and picked us up from the airport, and he was just very friendly right off the bat. Throughout the entire time, he knew exactly where we were at all times. He was always there to pick us up and take us places, and if not, he made sure that we got in the proper taxi that we needed, and he was just very friendly, very caring. He was, and him and his family were all very nice people. They provided a great place to live throughout this whole experience. The most surprising thing I experienced was definitely the amount of hands-on work I got to do at one of the hospitals here. It was, I came here hoping to get a lot of hands-on experience, and it was just very surprising to me how much I was allowed to do completely by myself or with a partner. It was just, I thought I would just be assisting maybe or holding something for someone, but instead I was allowed to completely clean wounds by myself, bandage wounds, cut casts, remove stitches. It was amazing to me that I got to do something like that just being an undergrad in college. At the accommodation, the most surprising thing was, I guess, it's very hot in Honduras, and there's no AC or hot water here, but I realized that that's completely normal in Honduras and a lot of Central American countries, so that was just something to get used to, but it ended up not being bad at all. It was, the cold showers felt nice because it was very, very hot in Honduras, so it was surprising, but it ended up being completely fine. The most surprising thing about the country itself was that I actually felt very safe the whole time. I had heard, things about Honduras being unsafe because of drugs and things like that, but it wasn't at all. I never felt unsafe. I was always with a group. I never went out at night, but I always felt completely safe in the home. It was a gated home, and I always felt like someone was watching out after me, my coordinator Raphael, so I felt safe the whole time. The most difficult thing to experience at the program was learning how to treat wounds and treat conditions that I had never had practice doing before. I would watch the nurse do it once or twice, but I just got, I would have to watch and then I would just have to do it. She would just let me do it on my own, and that was kind of difficult because I wasn't sure exactly the right way to do it, and she would kind of walk me through it, but she also kind of left me to do it on my own, and it was just, that was difficult at first, but it ended up being a great learning experience, and something that I'm very grateful for now, that I had to just figure it out on my own, a lot of things. The most difficult thing at the accommodation was just how hot it was. It's just very hot in Honduras, so that was just something that we had to get used to. Like I said, the cold showers ended up being a blessing because it was very hot here. And then the most difficult thing in the country was just realizing that we shouldn't go out at night, and once it was 6 o'clock, it gets dark really early here, and at 6 o'clock we just stayed in, and that was just something we had to get used to, because in America we would just go out at night, go to the grocery store, go to the laundromat, things like that, and here you just had to make sure that you were inside at night if you wanted to be as safe as you could possibly be. So that was just something to get used to, but it wasn't very difficult. Tips for future volunteers for clothing: bring lots of tank tops and athletic shorts because you are sweating constantly, and also make sure you have comfortable shoes for anything that you decide to go do. For example, we went rafting down the river, and just make sure you have water shoes or something like that. If you want to be adventurous and go hiking, make sure you have tennis shoes, and make sure that you just come prepared, because you never know what kind of excursions you can do here. And definitely having the proper clothing and shoes is really important. And then make sure you bring lots of swimsuits and towels if you're going to be going to the beach a lot, which I highly recommend because it's gorgeous. So definitely just be prepared with all of those types of things. And then tips for donations, definitely when they say bring things to donate, such as medical supplies, don't take that lightly. Bring as much as you can fit in your suitcase, because they constantly need medical supplies and donations. I was working in the clinic and we were treating wounds, and we ran out of gauze one day, and luckily me and my partner had brought some, but otherwise they wouldn't have been able to treat the patients for the rest of the day. A lot of the patients will come in with their own supplies to be treated because the hospital just doesn't have it. But the patients that don't bring that supplies, unfortunately, won't get treated for that day until they get more supplies. So definitely bring as much as you can. Gauze especially is a big thing here. And antibiotics and stuff like that. Antibiotic cream and all that kind of stuff. And then tips for the weather, definitely bring an umbrella, bring a rain jacket, whatever you need. It rained quite a bit here, and we weren't expecting that. We expected it to be hot. We didn't really think about rain, so definitely bring things like that to keep you dry. And then another tip is just bring a lot of snacks for when you're working at the hospital. I know I got hungry sometimes, so just bring some granola bars and things like that you can munch on when you get a break. Things volunteers should know how to take blood pressure. We ended up doing that a lot on this trip. We ended up taking vital signs all the time, and I kind of knew how to take blood pressure before I came, but I wasn't positive, so definitely kind of practice on your family members, work on that before you come here. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, but you're definitely going to be doing it a lot, and you don't want to give incorrect readings to the nurses because they're trusting you to take care of their patients. Another thing is be prepared to be in an environment that you've never experienced before. The hospitals are not like hospitals in America. You just need to be ready to adjust to that, and the differences here, such as them not having supplies, or they may treat wounds differently than they would in America, so just be prepared to adjust and to learn different ways of how to do things. And then also some advice is just be sure to explore the city. It's an amazing city. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. There's mountains. Everywhere you look, there's mountains in the background. There's beautiful beaches. Just make sure you do as much as you can in your free time to go explore the country, because you'll really regret it if you don't. And then lastly, just be prepared to use a lot of Spanish. I know I've taken several years of Spanish, but I still wasn't prepared for how much I was going to have to use it here. And some of the doctors speak English, but most doctors and nurses don't here. So just make sure that that you have a decent foundation in Spanish, so you can try to communicate with them and try to figure out how you need to treat this wound, and so there isn't the stress of a huge communication barrier between you, both of you. When I arrived here, I was extremely excited. I couldn't wait to explore a new country, have real contact with patients, and improve on my Spanish. And I have to say that a broader view completely exceeded all of my expectations. I had been on a mission trip through my church to the Dominican Republic in high school. Being very similar to Honduras, I was not nervous about living here for a week. Despite how much I loved the Dominican Republic, Honduras exceeded that by giving me constant opportunities to increase my knowledge of medicine. And on top of that, I got to learn with my hands rather than simply observing like we do in America. I was placed in situations very outside of my comfort zone, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to take blood pressure properly, even when I arrived here, or treat wounds prior to coming here. And within 5 minutes, I was forced to learn all of those things under pressure while a patient waited on me to treat them. In addition, I had to figure out how to communicate with doctors and nurses that did not speak the same language as me. I know some Spanish, but would often get stuck in the language barrier. In the end, I figured each situation out and learned so much more through it. I feel that that experience mimics exactly what my future career will be like as a doctor. I will constantly be placed in high-pressure situations where I don't know exactly what to do or what the proper treatment is, and I will have no choice but to figure it out. On top of that, I got to treat people and gain experience in one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to. While some areas may be poor, you can't help but look at the beauty of the mountains and the beach in the background of every house, hospital, and clinic in La Ceiba. It always took my breath away. I would describe my accommodations, meals, and security. The meals were absolutely amazing. I'm honestly a very picky eater, and every meal I had here, there was something that I liked that was on the table, usually more than one thing. And so, you know, even if you're picky, even if you're not sure about the food here, trust me, it's amazing. And there was always something that I could eat at the end of each day. Like I said, I felt very safe in the gated home here, and the host home was great. It was a great place to live for a week. My favorite memory of this trip was treating wounds in the curaciones section of the hospital. At first I had no idea what to do, and within an hour I was cutting casts, removing stitches, bandaging wounds, and things like that, and it was just an amazing experience. My favorite memory of the country itself was we went whitewater rafting on our first day here, and that was just a crazy experience. I was very nervous about it because I knew it would be intense, but it ended up being so much fun, and the backdrop of the whole experience was just absolutely gorgeous with the mountains behind us. It was a great way to be introduced to La Ceiba on our first day. The A Broader View USA support prior to traveling was great. The online chat and emails were always responded to within the day, and very quickly and very efficiently, and they always answered my questions for me. And the website also provided pretty much all of the information you would need to come here, and then if I had any questions I would just email them, so it was super easy and super efficient. I'm definitely willing to speak to other Broader View volunteers, and then I found out about this program because my friend Katie and I had applied for a mission trip that ended up getting canceled, and so we said, you know, we really still want to go on one. Where could we go? What would be a fun place to go? So we were looking into Honduras, and then we found A Broader View, and they had a program for Honduras that was medical missions, and so we jumped on it and booked our flights the next day. It was super fast, super crazy, but it ended up being the most amazing experience.
Thank you, Casey, for being volunteer with A Broader View Honduras. Have a safe trip home, and we hope to see you back very soon.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.